Whew. Hello one, hello all, it's the gothiest ghost of them all, Casper in the flesh, and it's time for a review of FKA Twigs-EUSEXUA. This is the brand new album from singer, songwriter, dancer, FKA Twigs, who's always been known for the pop futuristic sound. There's always been art pop within her music. And we last heard from her on the Caprisongs mixtape, which I thought was very adventurous, very much, I would say, focused on the concepts of love, self-love, heartbreak, which, to be honest, I definitely enjoyed more than Magdalene. Not to take anything away from Magdalene, I thought it was a good record, but definitely didn't make my year-end list of that time. And on Caprisongs, I found the vocals to be more expressive. I found the production to be more adventurous, diving into Afrobeat, diving into dancehall. And given to how great that mixtape was, and given to how great the singles have been leading into this LP, my expectations were really high. So now she's going into a different direction this time around, completely doing a 180. And I feel like FKA Twigs has certainly had a knack for bringing together two words within her titles, within her concepts, as EUSEXUA is supposed to be a combination of sex and euphoria. And with the gratifying feel I get from this record as the listener, I would say it's certainly accurate, but diving into the lyrics, there's certainly a reason for this feeling. It's certainly an act of escapism that FKA Twigs is putting out here. So while people use sex and they use bliss and feeling good, there kind of could be a reason for that. And within this, there's certainly an impetus to be taken into account here. And as you listen closely to the lyrics, it's really no secret to why. And I would also say, like, this is certainly her most cavernous record. This is certainly her more futuristic sounding record. And very straightforward too. It's mostly killer, no filler, no interludes, just 11 tracks at 42 minutes. The vibe to me, the aesthetic here is like rave party in a far distant future underground. And I would honestly say this is definitely one of her more tighter releases. And certainly branching out more into the electronic realm with EDM, trance, future garage, glitch pop, down tempo. And this thing is immensely nocturnal. Like just immersed in this electronic after dark type vibe. So as I alluded to earlier, as this is a very danceable record, the vibe is very much dance to my pain type of record. Kind of like a darker version of Charlie XCX's Brat. So while yes, there is a lot of sexuality on this record, there's also a lot of talk of mistrust, heartbreak, insecurities, but they still have that banger quality to them. Take the opening, which is also the title track, which was the first single, if I'm not mistaken, leading into this LP, which is a fantastic one, very entrancing, of cycling keys, continuous thumping drum patterns, eventually evolving into this dense, throbbing bass, like this colossal layered soundscape. And the vocals do have faint touches of auto-tune, a lot of modulation here, but I feel it adds to like the dream club-like feeling that this track is going for. It's like FKA Twigs is singing and swimming right into my soul. But you're a ginger. You don't have a soul. Yeah, I guess you got a point there. Anyway, it's a very transitional but also subtle track, and also an enchantingly alluring track. It very much gives entry to a new world, a new feeling, and that definitely is very fitting for the introductory track. The song Girl Feels Good, not a terrible track by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely sounds like a leftover from the classic and absolutely amazing Depeche Mode Violator album. I feel like the pitched down, alien-like vocals are a little grating, kind of going back to through the setbacks I had for Magdalene, and also these randomly clownish circus-like synths thrown in there, kind of tacked on. But I feel like the track does have potential. I do like the worldly synth bass and some guitar embellishments. Meanwhile, we do start getting themes of mystique, of mystery, danger, with the song Perfect Stranger. That, if you recall, was definitely one of my favorite tracks of the year, one of my favorite singles of the year, and had me really looking forward to this album as FKA Twigs delineates the attributes of this person that she's met, how this person she has like no knowledge of, this person has like no identity to her, saying you're perfect because I have no knowledge of like who you are, so let's keep it that way. Obviously coming from a place of hurt, of letdown, how when she discovers who like a person is, it's normally leading to disappointment. Like the most negative amount of history I know on you, the better. As she dives into over this icy, murky, future two-step beat, and then drums of death, which sounds like what would happen if bubblegum bass, electronic legend Sophie got together with Eric B. and Rakim and did like a futuristic remix to I Ain't No Joke, with FKA Twigs having the most malfunctioning sonic freakout, but in the most amazing way. Because vocally, you're getting a lot of stuttering vocal modulations. And another thing too, I find, is like how disorienting and how altering these effects take on FKA Twigs' voice, and how thunderous and crushing the production is on here. With the mix on her voice, it really does fit well. Like, while her vocals do sound sweet and they do sound angelic, they are not a mismatch for this chaotic density of chaos at all. It's like with FKA Twigs, I feel like you really do find beauty and oddity, like something that does not sound good on paper but sounds good on the ear. Like, it just never ceases to amaze me. And Room of Fools shows FKA Twigs diving once again into the mystery pocket as she is having an encounter with this person who is the same sexuality as her, how her and this person are like living their lives, and everyone else is, based off the lyrics, like, it is very cryptic, but I am getting the sense of there is some type of intrigue between someone of the same sex, and everyone else is not living their truth as they are the Room of Fools. But I do feel like there has been trauma that has been added to the mix, as she talking about open wounds and how it feels nice to find someone to relate to, saying like this is their escape together. At least that's what I'm getting from it. That features these miniature revving keys that somewhat sound like Crazy Frog, but in a good way. Like, that's honestly the best way I could describe it. That evolves into this warped, expanding bass, like popping in and out, but then we get like this dark swelling with these bright synth melodies. What also grabbed my attention too was the sonic and vocal variation that FKA Twigs here, how she has throughout this LP, and how reminiscent her vocals are of Bjork, with the melodic growls, the expression, the eccentricity. It's very Bjork. This room of fools. Yeah, she does better. I know. Also ending with the otherworldly inclusion of Middle Eastern music, like these Middle Eastern passages. Following this, we have Sticky, which is certainly a builder, as it does have a solemn pace with the solemn pianos and hi-hats, but breaks into these stuttering, glitchy vocals, and then breaks into these angelic ascending vocals with these ascending strings, abruptly changing into this very thick, distorted bass. It really sounds like the track like imploded on itself, which I do feel mirrors the state of mind that FKA Twigs was probably in when she recorded this. But there is a narrative poignance here that I feel I should touch on, as FKA Twigs is displeased with her choices, her decisions that have, she believes, led her to be in the position she is now, in the state of mind she is now, as she has displayed vulnerability like this in the past. And if you pay attention to the lyrics very closely, you will notice a certain line where she says, "Try to fuck you with the lights on," as if you're a longtime FKA Twigs fan, you will recall the song Lights On off of her first LP, which I feel does share a deep correlation to that lyric here. And the song Keep It Hold sees FKA Twigs going into an art pop direction with these very colorful keys, very layered, a lot of textured Asian-like superlatives that breaks into this super bustling, entrancing production, and again showing how versatile and alluring FKA Twigs' vocals could be. And the ending is very ethereal and heavenly as well, as Twigs finds herself in a very empty state, a very isolated state, but also reassuring herself not to give up, giving a lot of affirmation here, reaffirming that she has to keep going. Like there's this vocal background, there's like this background of the vocal saying not to give up, keep going. And for someone who feels hopelessness sometimes, I feel like this is like a melodic, theatrical pep talk here that I pretty much needed. And the whole thing feels like this elaborate electronic stage show that, if this was to take form, if this was put into fruition, I would definitely go to. And I feel ties into the record's narrative as well. But as far as something that does not tie into the record, but not a terrible track, I would say are Childlike Things. It's bouncy, it's fun, but it sticks out like a sore fucking thumb on this album, like how exuberant it is and how bright and colorful it is. Like, again, I do enjoy the variation in language here, the language barrier, and honestly, I think this could have fit better on Caprisongs in opposed to this one. And I must also say, too, that the person featured on here is none other than Northwest, Kanye West's daughter. Yeah, I'm still not calling him Ye, fuck that. But yeah, given how dark and moody and nocturnal this album is, I don't think it was a good fit. Good song, but bad fit for the album. The song Striptease, however, which is an excellent fit for the record, with the electronic music producer credits of none other than Dylan fucking Brady of 100 Gex fame. And while this is not a hyperpop song, you definitely do notice the attributes, the sonic qualities of a Dylan Brady track. Like, it's really much in the DNA here. Like how quirky, but also how dense it could be, as she sings in a very unhinged but passionate way, as she is letting loose here, really mirroring her emotions to a striptease, a revealing of her skin, of something she keeps covered up. But what she's doing here, she is likening her bare essentials to her mental, what she's feeling. And I feel like this correlation is done in a very creative way. And there's a lot of tracks on here that really do express how deep but also how intricate FKA Twigs could be. Like, not only sonically, but lyrically too. Not to mention the immensely and damn near tear-inducing vocal here that sounds so much like Dolores, the late Dolores of the Cranberries. Like, I really can't tell if this is a sample, if this is FKA Twigs' actual voice, but damn, it's truly moving, truly moving. 24-Hour Dog is another example here, as on the surface it does sound like she is coming off as this submissive partner, but in actuality she is really coming off and mirroring the likening of a drug addiction. And I truly love her melodic barks here. And I know this is kind of a stretch, but it does kind of remind me of something that Young Thug did off of Jeffrey, or maybe even Kate Bush with Hounds of Love. It's very creative. It really toes the line between intricate and tragic on this. Probably one of the most darkest and haunting tracks she's ever done. And the song Wanderlust really does sum up what this album is going for, the escape, the bliss of getting away from the pain, with these absolutely soaring vocal lines. I don't think I've ever heard FKA Twigs really kill it vocally here before. And I feel with the manipulations, I feel with the instrumental breaks and her vocals in between, it definitely sounds like something Frank Ocean would have done off of Blonde. And yes, the sentiment is very concerning, but given FKA Twigs' history that has been publicized, it's really no mystery why she would feel this way. It's really no mystery why this album would be important for her listeners. And sonically, I feel it aesthetically has that sunrise, sunset quality, as this is different, as this album starts off dark, but then ends light in terms of sonic attributes. And all around, great comeback album. This album was fantastic. Honestly, definitely one of her strongest LPs yet, maybe even stronger than her debut, and I love that debut. And definitely more tighter from Caprisongs, as much as I did love that mixtape. Like, this certainly is the darker side of Caprisongs. It's like the likening of Jedi to Sith, as Caprisong being the Jedi and this being the Sith. I mean, obviously, it's not coming from a place of malicious intent. No, I'm just saying in terms of vibe, in terms of aesthetic, how the feelings of Caprisongs, while they did deal in heartbreak, the aesthetic was definitely more lighter, as this one is definitely more darker, more murky, more ominous. Because while this thing is very groovy, it's very textured, it is definitely loaded with a lot of dark lyrical territory. And certainly something more deeper, I would say more heartfelt, and honestly the most intricate topically FKA Twigs has ever gone. Like, just fantastic overall. Fantastic vocals from FKA Twigs, showing a lot of versatility in that department, the production team. Just a great record. Sure, there were a couple tracks I could have done without, but overall the bop to flop ratio, it's mostly bop. And if this is your first listen to FKA Twigs, this is probably the most accessible. Probably you may be thrown off by the glitches, but if you can get past that, or if you're accustomed to that already, I don't see why you would hate this record. But hey, go back, listen to LP. You can listen to Magdalene, decent record, but Caprisongs, and then this, like, listen to Caprisongs and listen to this, see the night and day difference, see the correlation, and you could really see that this is one hell of a transformation in an excellent way. And I really do feel like she nailed it here. Great job. I'm feeling a 4.5 out of 5 on this record, but if you've given this a listen, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, FKA Twigs, EUSEXUA. Till we meet again.